So this is the armor. It's been completely stripped back. I've taken all the parts off it. First we'll be cleaning the belt, because this is how it'll look after we've removed all the parts. So you're gonna use a plastic scraper, and you're going to scrape any dough that might have come onto this belt. If there's no dough and there's only flour, you shouldn't need to clean it. You can leave this belt penetrated with flour. It'll be better for your next dough. This belt, you can just use a damp chucks cloth and you can remove any flour or oil or whatever is on it if you do have dough residue, or you can use your plastic scraper again, making sure you're not using metal on it because you don't want to cut the belt. On assembly, first you need to choose what type of product you're doing. So if you're doing your baguettes or anything smaller, use the short chain. If you're doing anything larger, like a 1.5 kilo loaf, use the long chain. And I'll explain why after. So when we put the chain in, you're just going to go in on an angle and push all the way to the back of the machine, or I should say the front of the machine. And we'll see there's just a clip on either side. So if we're using the short chain, we're going to put this pressure plate in. If we're using a long chain, you would just leave the chain in. You don't need any other parts. So the way this goes in, we have to first flip it over. Do be mindful that this part should be up, not down. So up on top of it instead of flip down. It's just easier to put into the machine. You go in on an angle, just making sure that this pin doesn't knock on anything as you're sliding in. Once you pass all the little bumps, you can just go straight in. You push all the way until it's in, and then you can lock whichever pin settings you're using. So with these pin settings, they're just different tensions of the belt. So you pull that out and then twist it until it finds a position where it can drop through. And we're going to put that into the holes on both sides. Next, we have this long felt. It is important that you have your machine all the way in the open setting. It's just going to make it much easier for you to put the felt in. I'm just going to slot it in first, pushing it all the way to the back. Once it's the majority of the way in, you can just sit this there. You can use the top or the bottom. It just depends what attachments you have. And pull it through the rest of the way. There are all different attachments for the front. I'm just going to use this one as an example. They all have the same setup where they have these two pins here at the front of the attachment. These all go underneath your felt belt. And it just slides all the way to the back, lift it up, goes into each of those pin slots. So that's also the same for, there's the pointed tip guide. So the way the pointed tip guide works, it just slides underneath, again, underneath the felt, goes into those two clips, and then that's how it sits into the machine. Keep your hand along this bar here so you don't get your fingers pinched anywhere, or holding at the back to make sure it doesn't slam down. And then just close it. Now we're in position and we're ready to start the machine. Now we can just use this to stop the roll. Now we can wipe them again. A little info on the two setting points of the machine. We have this one on the right-hand side that adjusts our belt at the bottom. And the more you close that gap, the more it's going to elongate your piece. If you close it too much, it's going to damage it and it's going to tear outside layer. Then we also have the rollers. So with the rollers as well, same concept. You want to make it as thin as possible to get as much stretch as you want, or as many coils as you want. So this will give you the tension, where the bottom section will give you the length. So if you create too much tension, you can't get your length. If you don't create enough tension, your loaf's going to blow out and have air pockets or anything in it. So you just close that down for what you need. Same with this one. Then your loaves are placed on the back of the machine here through the conveyor belt. So you can place your loaves long this way, or across this way, or shaped up as a tight ball. They will all give you different results depending on your product and what you're wanting your final product to be.